Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we got something a little bit different. It's the Massey Ferguson branded tractors made by Simplicity. Actually, it's not a common thing here, Simplicity units. That's interesting. The other interesting thing is this is the first tractor that I did a resale on. Actually, bought it, fixed it, sold it. It's the first one. That was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. But lack of maintenance and lack of oil changes caused the engine to blow up. So it ran out of oil. The owner didn't check it, and it ran out of oil and blew the motor up. So it's locked up solid, and it needs a transplant. I happen to have a twin-cylinder Briggs 16 horse that I'm going to try and put in here and get this tractor going again. They basically brought this back to me and traded it in on another one. So yeah, let's do a transplant and see what happens. We've got a few kinks to work out, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. All right, so this is what we're dealing with. It's an 18 horse Intech Briggs, single cylinder. We're gonna take it out of here, and eventually I'm gonna strip it for parts because there's a lot of good parts on it. Starter, stator, coil. We knew it ran. It just didn't run without oil in it. Carburetor, everything was functioning fine on it. It was running fine, and it just ran out. So, yep. I'm gonna have to take the shielding off. I have to see if the muffler fits. There's a lot going on here. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the belts off and I'll get the muffler off of here. I'll just pull the engine out, throw it on the bench or throw it on the floor somewhere, and then we'll just set that new twin in there and see what happens, see what it looks like. Being going from Briggs to Briggs, it should have similar connectors, or the same connectors, I'm hoping, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift the tractor up and start just pulling the motor off. All right, so I've got the engine all disconnected. Well, hopefully. Wiring harness disconnected on the other side. The exhaust is removed. Fuel line, throttle cable. The drive belt and all that stuff is off. I am having reservations on this to see. I don't think it's going to work. The new engine is much wider up here. This has got a freaky exhaust system on it. And the muffler mounts onto the front of this bracket, which is also the hood pivots. So we might have to cut some of this out. I really don't even know if it's going to work. I got to check to make sure the shaft length is the same sticking out at the bottom. But yeah, let's get this heap out of here. Like I said before, I'm going to strip this down for parts, but it's still got a lot of good parts on it. Actually, let me show you this. She locks up. Only goes about 180 degrees and then stops. She's got a blown connecting rod. Well, let's get this out. Hear that? That's valve train. I wonder what's going on there. We're gonna find out. So that is now a nice empty engine bay. Get these wires out of the way. And I still have the exhaust and everything on the other engine, but I really don't know. Probably gonna be hitting there. Yeah. Well, let's see. This one's a lot heavier than that one. Oh. Yeah. I am not a big guy. That's heavy. I'm going to leave it right like that. Perfect. Installed. Gives me a chance to get my measuring tape. What do we got? 3 1/8. What do we got on this one? 3 1/8. Huh. Okay, well that might do. But I can tell you right now, these are the front mounting bolts. That muffler is not going to work with this piece here. And that's integral, the whole pan and the sides. Well, poo. Let's get the exhaust off of here. This is the only spare engine I have right now that is adequate for this. I only got a 12.5 horse Kohler, but that's not for this. So that'll be something like that, but back a lot farther. Gotta go back another 5-6 inches at least. Yeah, well, looks like we're gonna have to take that exhaust off. Jeez. Let's do that. Let's get the exhaust off of there. They have probably never been out of here. And this is not a new engine. 1998. All right, well, I'm gonna crack these loose, get the exhaust off there. You don't need to watch all that. Okay, so most of the work I did, you couldn't see. It was on the other side of the shop, and there's too much stuff over there to get you over there, but I had to splice in the wiring harness for the kill wire, because on this engine, it's a separate little wire that goes on the side. I had to reroute the fuel line from this side, where the carburetor used to be here. Now the carburetor's on the front, but the fuel pump's on this side. So I just routed the line that way. I did manage to find some bolts. The bolt pattern on the bottom of this engine is different than the other one, but there were holes in the chassis to be able to bolt it up. So all 4 mounting bolts are in, and the shaft is in the center of the hole that goes through the bottom of the chassis. So it's where it needs to be. Perfect. That's the good stuff. We still need to work on these cables. The choke cable is probably going to be fine because I'm going to end up putting up here in the back of the console. Won't have to adjust that one. But the throttle cable is too long for the tractor, but the old tractor cable is too short for this engine. So we're going to have to figure something out with that. I do have a Z bending tool somewhere, so I should be able to just shorten this cable and hook it into the existing throttle lever. That'd be awesome. I would really like that. Could use a factory one. Yeah, we're gonna try that, but we're not ready for that yet. So calm down. I wanna see if it'll run and stop. Make sure our wires are working properly. I wanna make sure it's charging properly. But I'm not going to do that till we get the muffler on. To get the muffler on, we definitely have to cut the front of this out. These have to stay. That's our hood support. That's what holds the front of the hood on. That's where it pivots. Actually, these are the fancy bolts for it. So the hood kind of sits in there, both sides, and it pivots up and down on there. So these have to stay. But the center, I got to notch all that out. And the exhaust, I did get it out. It was a fight all the way out. Yeah. It's got to go in. Where's our ports? Oh, geez, those ports are way back there. We might still not have room. Yeah. So this bar here is actually the tie rod. I can cut about 4 inches out of this, but I don't think it's enough. That sucks. I don't want to make custom pipes. That's the center of the exhaust port. Basically, the muffler would be sitting here, and it's right on top of everything. We don't have enough room. We don't have enough. Well, that sucks. But the engine had to be in place for it to figure that out anyways. I could just move back a little. So it looks like the pipes come out of the muffler and they go straight back parallel. Straight. And then they curve out to the heads. Or reasonably straight. I might have to cut these here. If I cut both these pipes off, I'll be able to extend it with a straight piece of pipe. That's a lot more work than I wanted to do. But I don't have another engine for it. It could sit in the yard waiting for a new engine. Huh. All right. Let me figure that out and I'll decide what I'm going to do. That is way too loud. It does run though. All right. This is what I've come up with. I've got a piece of pipe here that I'm going to use to extend where these are straight. So I'm going to notch out that plate, this plate here, on those yellow lines. And then this will be able to slide in there. I'm going to keep this piece intact. Hopefully I'll be able to line up some holes here. I'll be able to use these to mount the muffler. If I can, I'll be putting this thick plate on top, like sandwiching. This muffler will be under the black plate, and then this will be on top. And there's also a heat shield that may or may not get installed as well. All depends on what fits. I don't know, but that's what we're going to try. I know that's galvanized pipe. I will galvanize all the time, and I know you have to take precautions, and I will take those precautions. But yeah, I'm not going to show any of that on camera because I don't know how this camera is going to behave with welding. So yeah, I'm going to chop those. I'm going to bolt the pipes to the head. I'm going to get the muffler in position where it needs to be. And then I'm going to measure to see what I need for extension. And then I'll try and tack it together while it's in the tractor. Tack it sturdy enough that I can remove it. And then, yeah, weld this all around. Well, we're making progress anyways. A couple of little things to figure out. You can see where the head pipes are. Just got to attach them here. But I had to get the height set, so I've got spacers between the plate and the muffler. But it actually flexes enough that I don't like it. So, looks like the bracket is lifting off the back. So if I weld that in there, it'll probably be fine. And it won't be permanently attached because you can still get these bolts out to get the muffler off. That's what I'm going to do. And if that doesn't support it enough the way I want it, I'm going to end up putting brackets across here. Maybe a full plate that gets bolted through these two bolts and it goes across to this angle, and then it'll bolt through there. That'll give me a way better strength, but I think this welding it here is going to make it a lot better. Yeah. All right, I'll update it as I have updates. All right, well, I've got my pipe extensions in there. You can see them. Dooloop, dooloop. I got them spot tacked here and there, and they're all over the place. As much as I can get anyways. Now I've got to unbolt it from the engine and unbolt it from the mount. And I'm going to put it on the bench and weld all those all the way around. 4 joints. And I'm going to weld in here too. But I'm going to get it back on the machine and bolt it back up before I weld that, just to make sure everything is going to be lined up. So these are 1/4 inch bolts, and I drilled 5/16 holes through this plate to be able to fit them in. Sorry, not through this plate. This one already had holes in it. It's through the old black plate that was there. If I need to, I'll just open them up to 3/8. All right, I'm going to take that off, get it all welded, put it back on, and weld this up, and hopefully that should be that for the exhaust. That's better. Sounds real nice, actually. Nice and quiet. That's pretty groovy. We had all the toys out. Plasma cutter, welder. Grinders. Ah, she's pretty good. That's solid. I don't think I need to reinforce that. I think I'll be all right. Those 2 bolts go back in here for the hood. I did weld that heavy plate to the back plate there. And even with everything welded, if you take these 2 bolts out and then the 4 bolts at the head pipes, you can actually slide everything out. The exhaust will still come off. But it is custom exhaust now. Oh, smoky in here. It's the end of the day. I'm tired. I'm gonna pick this up tomorrow. All right, so the mess on the hoist is all done. Well, I gotta put the deck underneath it and do some blade work. But anyways, let's get these throttle cables figured out. First, a little technical junk. This is the throttle off the engine. So this is what we have to make work, because this cable is too long and the cable off the tractor is too short. So we have to use this cable, but I want to use the original lever. So I'm gonna transfer this cable to this lever, and then we're going to shorten the cable to make it work. The choke cables, I'm not worried about it. It's nice and long. It's perfect. I'll route it where I need it to go. But first we need to check what we have originally on the engine. So that's idle and that's wide open. So that's about a 1-inch pull. So the cable moves 1 inch. You can adjust how far that cable moves by the positioning of where that cable goes. Either if you put it in this hole, it'll move less. This hole is 1 inch, and the far end hole will make it move more than 1 inch. Just because the different distance from the pivot to the edge of the cable. So this is the one out of the unit, the tractor. It's got a very long throw. It's way too long. And it doesn't have different holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the pivot to this hole, and I'm going to measure from this pivot, and I'm going to measure out the exact distance. Excuse me. Drill a hole and hope for the best. Because it should work that way. It should be fine. And then we'll put the long cable onto the original tractor lever and mount it back up. That's the plan. That's the goal, the hope. It's maybe gonna work. I've got my Z-bend tool here. It makes the fancy bends on the end. And hope for the best. Okay, that operation was a success. You can see I moved the hole from here. I just moved it over to catch that cable there. Just drilled a 3/32 hole to fit that cable. And yeah, gives me a 1 inch travel at this end. I've already checked it, so that's perfect. Check out my shirt. One of one. Let's get this cable bolted back in there. And we're going to adjust it so we get the proper amount of travel down at the throttle end. So we still need to adjust the length of this cable because it's too long. So we'll do that once it's all routed where it needs to go. Is it that way? Yes, that way. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing here, but it's okay because neither can I. Let's get those screws back in there. A couple of little tiny 3/8 screws. So we can't over tighten them, but they gotta be snug. This engine runs awesome. Do have a new air filter coming for it. I did I did the oil change on it yesterday. And managed to get the heat shield on it. The original heat shield back on top of the muffler. My only concern is with the deck, making sure that it still will catch the hook, because it's very close to that muffler now. Where the old muffler was mounted very high up in the tractor, this muffler now is a little lower. Just a concern. I'm not sure if it's going to hit or not. Okay. Let's Get our lever back on there. The machine is pretty well built. Like I said, it's a Simplicity. It's different. There's a lot of different things on here that they do that nobody else does. So the throw is nice. I'm going to just verify that throw. Where's my Sharpie? There it is. Mark the cable. That's a little more than 1 inch. That's okay. It'll be fine. And then we gotta route it. So we got about 1 foot extra here that we gotta cut off. Ish. Just to get the routing proper. Well, it's roughly where it's gonna go. So we can cut our sheathing here. I might still have to take it back out of here to get the center core pulled back out, so when I cut the sheathing, I don't cut the core. That's fine. I needed to get it on there and set where it needs to go. So you don't want to pull it too tight. You don't want to have it too loose. You want to have it just at a point where you can move it back and forth in the clamp, because that's how you adjust your travel, maximum, minimum travel. So I think we'll be okay there. It'll clear the hood. Still gonna route the choke cable. That's a non-issue. I'm just gonna cut a hole in there, unhook it from here, feed it back through, hook it back up, adjust it, done. Okay, so let me figure that out. I'm gonna get this cut the length I want. We'll get the core pulled out of it. We're going to adjust our throttle, and then we should be ready to rock. Well, I got it as close as I can estimate. Let's try out this fancy new Z-bend tool. I bought this a while ago, but I have not used it actually. I don't see many cables that I gotta custom make or adjust. Anyways, it goes in a little hole here. Then you'll bend her 90 degrees. Slide it out of the hole a little bit. Just get it locked in that little tab. And bend her back 90 degrees. Then you get it stuck. Oh, there it is. Z-bend. You see it? Kinda. Anyway. Yeah. We got that hooked up in there, and then I'll do a throw test, and we'll see if we estimated correctly. Okay, so we got the choke cable installed. Look at that. Easy. I drilled a 7/16 hole and then just used a triangle file to make the edges square, and that just slid right in, and the retainers retain it. It still works just fine. I routed the cable through, hooked it up, I set the min and max. It's good to go. Let's see how the throttle works. It seems to be full throw, so let's see. Give her a little choke. Choke off. Idle. That's wide open. And that is the story on how we do the cables. Nice. Wonderful. Excellent. Everything's going to be good. Okay, moving on. What are we going to do now? Well, I got to do the deck. I'm going to scrape the grass out from underneath that deck, and then we'll sharpen and balance the blades. Get the deck underneath there. Oh, we still got to put the drive system on. That's the assorted pulleys and stuff. And we'll get the drive in there. Yeah, that's the next step. Put the drive in there, and then get the drive belt on, and then the deck. All right, testing time, and then we'll do a wrap up. She should start. Make sure I got my fuel valve on. Yep, now I do. Okay, brake, choke, key, Go. Put the parking brake on. Where is it? There it is. There we go. That's nice and quiet and smooth. Do the blades. Not bad. See if she moves. Backwards. Forwards. Obviously I can't get up to speed, but you get the idea. Keys over here like a John Deere. Okay, so I did have to notch out the hood there in the front just to clear the muffler. That's fine. All the bracketry and everything is still there. Still pivots perfectly fine. We got our cables on there. The heart transplant was a success. Runs great. Balance and sharpen the blades. Well, sharpen first, then balance. But yeah, you get the idea. The bearings are fine. The belt is okay. The deck is in good shape. I scraped it out and cleaned it up. All the tires even hold air on this thing. I don't even have to do that. It's interesting to see an item come back. So like I said, this is going to be over 2 years now that I sold this thing, and it had zero maintenance. None. Nothing. I never saw it again after it left. Blew the engine up, and I get it back. It doesn't need anything else. It just, even the blades weren't bad. They just needed to be touched up. Yeah, actually, another nice unit. Hydrostatic. Cool. Thanks for joining me on this video, guys. A little bit different one this time. We didn't go through the whole thing, but we did the major part. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The thumbs up is a free thing to click. Just click it. And leave me a comment down below. What do you think about this thing? What do you think about Simplicities? I think this is a equivalent to a Broadmoor. I don't know, something like that. We don't see them here much, so. Don't forget to click that bell icon as well if you subscribe to my channel. It'll let you know when I upload new videos. And until the next one, take care.